In this video, we're going to locally run not only N8N, but also services like Qdrant, Postgres, Ollama, and of course, N8N itself. All of these will interact with each other only on your local computer, or on a server if that's more convenient for you. Stay with me if you're interested, and let's watch the video. So first of all, we're going to need Docker. What is Docker? For those who don't know, well, people usually call them containers. It's a system that lets you run various programs or applications inside it. So I'll leave a link in the description. As always, you can follow the link in the description or just go to the website, download it, and install it depending on your system. So whether it's Mac, Windows, or Linux, for example. Well, to put it briefly, let's of course draw it out. I'll just explain in a few words what Docker is. So Docker is a system that lets you run containers. What is a container? We can imagine it as a square, right, inside which different programs can run. And the advantage of this is that when you create a container, you can think of it as a kind of small computer. So we're all using computers right now, right? And imagine that on your computer you can launch another computer, a tiny system, where you can run programs. That is, by default, it's completely isolated from the outside. So it can't get outside of its container that it's inside. And that's a big plus in the sense that if you're running some risky programs, you can run them inside and not worry that something will happen to your files from the outside. In other words, this system has no access from the inside. To the outside, to the external environment. But you can go inside and try to do something in there. And in this case, we need Docker. By the way, you can run as many of these Docker containers as you want. That is, on your own computer. And in our case, Docker will run different programs. In this case, N8N will, Postgres. I'm drawing so well, aren't I? Postgres, that's how it's spelled, more or less. Drum. Oops, the tablet is running out of battery, but we'll make it in time. Drum, and there was also Ollama. For those who don't know what Ollama is a system that lets you run different models, open source models, on your computer or on a server. But we'll get into that a bit later. By the way, the diagram right now shows it as if all our applications will be in a single Docker container. But that's actually not the case. So each individual service will have its own separate and distinct container, complete with its own specific rules and settings. And here we will have, for example, N8N, Drum, and Postgres, among others. And Ollama. Just like that. And they'll all be isolated from each other. It's, let's say, a separate operating system inside your operating system. If this all seems confusing right now, later on when we actually do it, I'll try to explain it in more detail, and you'll understand how it works. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments or join the Telegram channel. We're happy to have you. There are people there who work with automation or are learning about automation, and we all help each other as much as possible without any negativity or unhelpful answers. Any questions are welcome. We're all learning. Now let's continue. So let's go to the repository from the N8N team, which they prepared for us. Again, the link will be in the description. Here, you can basically see which files are there. If you don't know what GitHub is yet, you can watch some videos about it. But in short, it's a platform for storing code, roughly speaking. And they've already prepared ready-to-use code for us. Everything we need can be found in the README here. We'll go through this together now. But what we're interested in here is this button. We will click on it and then copy this particular part. Break time equals 0.5s / then we will proceed to the terminal and carefully type in the command git clone. For this, I should mention that you need to have Git installed on your computer before running this command. But I think you'll figure this out too, and if not, welcome to Telegram. We can chat there or just write in the comments and I'll help you out. But the point is, this git clone command with the repository URL simply copies these files to your computer. Now, let's take a look at what's written here in the README. So here you can read about what this package is. Let's say the code, what it's for. But what we're interested in. Let's scroll down a bit further. Here's what's included in this file. Package, right? N8 and itself. Ollama is a cross-platform LLM platform that allows you to install and run LLM models that are open source. Qdrant is for the vector database, for storing data in the form of vectors, and Postgres is also a database. So if you're not familiar with any of these, you can check out some of my previous videos. I've covered Postgres and vector databases in detail. I haven't covered Ollama yet, and as for N8 and itself, I think you already know what it is if you're watching this video. So everything we need is written here. Git clone this repository, which is the command I've already run, and it downloaded all the files to my computer. Next, we need to go into the folder that was created. That is, the self-hosted AI Start Kit. Okay, let's keep going. Now, pay close attention here. Here, depending on your operating system, you need to run different commands. So, if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you need to run these commands. If you have an AMD graphics card on Linux, you run these commands. And for everyone else, if you have a Mac with an M1 or a newer processor, then please just use the following commands. They also mention here that you can use the for everyone else category. That is, it's a bit further down, and we'll get to it. Here it is described. Alternatively, you can run Ollama separately on your Mac and then connect Docker containers to it, because most likely it will work faster that way. But we'll take the simple route. We'll be running the commands from the For Everyone Else section. Credit where it's due. They really took care of every step here. So in this case, you can see that if you want to run Ollama locally, just follow these steps and check the home page. If you want to run Ollama locally, then you will need to change this particular file to a Docker Compose file with the appropriate and necessary parameters. In other words, they really went out of their way for us, and that deserves respect and a lot of support for N8 and in the team, because you can see they're doing everything they can to help the community. Alright, let's go ahead and run this command. So we've already done the first two commands, and now there's just the last one left. I'm copying, pasting, and running it. Okay, Docker isn't running on my machine. So I'm starting it up now. It's launching. Okay, allow Docker allow. Now it's starting up and opening the dashboard. As you can see, there are different containers here. So it's up and running, and I'm running the command again. Let's see. Alright, it's starting to pull the containers we need for it to work, and this might take some time. Let's see how long this will take for me. I'll pause the video for now and continue once everything is downloaded. In this case, we can see that an 8N is being pulled. I'll be back in a couple of minutes, I think. Alright, so it's done. Took about 2 minutes. Let's go to Docker. Let's take a look. Notice that we have a new container running, which has Qdrant, Ollama, Postgres, and N8N running inside it. And that's awesome. Now let's go over the key points one more time. So you can see the images here, right? Images are what you use to build a container. So in this case, we have an image with Qdrant, Ollama, Postgres, and N8N, and it's running in a single container called. There's another important point I'd like to mention, volumes, which are like persistent and dedicated database storage solutions, much like robust digital warehouses for your crucial data. So, for example, if we completely delete the container or perhaps want to rebuild it from scratch, and we store the essential data inside it, specifically within Postgres and Qdrant, then if we proceed to delete and subsequently recreate it, that valuable data will inevitably be lost. That's why we need volumes. Volumes are something that exists outside the container, but they're connected, attached to the container. This way, separate volumes are created. They're like sources, you could say. Just remember, it's like a database, right? And they're created outside the container so that if you want to rebuild the container, or for any other reason create a new container, you can then connect these volumes. And it's as if, well, actually, not as if, but exactly, the same data will remain. So, in case you delete the container or the images, it doesn't matter in this case. The volumes remain untouched until you delete them yourself. Let's reinforce this a bit more, okay. I've already mentioned it, but I want to make sure you fully understand how this works. So, we have some N8 and images. Great. So I have N8 in Qdrant and Ollama, right. And we have a container that we can create. Now we'll talk about how it's created, according to which instructions and criteria. And when we create a container, we can specify which images we want to use in it and connect them accordingly. If you want 2, you'll have a container with 2 images. If you want 3 services, no problem. If you want 100, you can create them. As long as your computer's memory and resources allow, you can include up to 100. And you'll have, as I mentioned earlier, something like a separate server. Not exactly a server, but a separate operating system that exists within your local operating system. And from the inside, without special permission, it doesn't have access to its environment. This way, for example, you can safely run viruses or suspicious programs inside the container, and they won't be able to harm anything outside the container. And in this case, there are still volumes left, as I mentioned, which is the memory that exists. They are located outside the container. That is, there's an approach where you can mount them inside the container. Right. So if you don't use a volume, by default it will use the one that's created inside the container with each image. But then, if you delete the container, the data inside will also be deleted. That's precisely why we consistently use dedicated volumes for each individual service outside the container, and they are already seamlessly connected to, let's say, these specific services are inherently connected to these persistent volumes, or their associated crucial data. Volumes. Oh, the correct word is volumes. That's what they're called. I hope it's a bit clearer now. If anything, again, leave comments or join the Telegram channel. We can discuss it there as well. So, we see that our container is running. All containers show a status of success. And now we can go to port 5, 6, 7, 8 on our local computer. So in this case, here it is, 5, 6, 7, 8. The setup page opens right away the first time, as you know. If you don't know, when you launch an 8N for the first time, a page opens where you need to enter your credentials to get administrator rights. And this user will already be the administrator. Alright, let me fill it in. Okay. And the password. Alright. Okay. Any 8 digits. Ideally, on your real setup, you should use a more complex password so you don't have to worry. And now we're in. Let's take a look. There's a demo workflow here. Let's open it. By default, something is imported. This is for testing. Let's check how it works. Alrighty. Let me repeat. Everything is running locally for you right now. That means N8N, Qdrant, Postgres, and Ollama. In this particular case, our Ollama is thinking. Okay, well, it responded after 1 minute and 23 seconds. That's pretty slow. But again, it depends on your computer's performance settings. That is, it is preferable here that you have a GPU and respond faster. Or the second option is if, as it was written in the documentation, that is, you can run it not in the Ollama container, but separately on the computer, then it might be faster. Okay, let's see what she answered. Yes, the answer happened. There is no error. That is, all our services are working. Let's take a look. Here it says, what is specified here in terms of the connection is the local Ollama service. Notice, yes, here it's Ollama 11.434. The specified port. Let's go over the pros and cons of this system. Yes, so what are the advantages we have? It's free, almost free. That is, you only pay for electricity. The data, all the data is under your control. So if, especially for companies that, for example, worry about their data leaking, you can explain that it's only local, everything is stored with you, and no one except you has access to it. And customization, of course. That is, you can configure it however you want, use any models in Ollama. Try connecting maybe some other image you need for your work inside your container. And everything will work absolutely free of charge. Well, you'll have to pay for electricity, of course. So, what are the downsides? The downside here is that you'll have to pay for the hardware. That is, it's some kind of computer that will be running on your end. You are fully responsible for the electricity and for maintaining the system. So how stable it works, it's all on you. And then there are security risks, right? Again, depending on how you set it up, you are fully responsible for the security of your data. No one but you bears any responsibility. And then there's the technical complexity. So here, you might need to get familiar with some of the nuances I explained. If this is your first time hearing about them, it might seem a bit complicated, but with persistence and in our community, we'll be happy to help you. So join the Telegram channel, become a member, and chat with us. I'll be happy to help. And there are already plenty of people there who can help you as well. Or just leave a comment here. And before wrapping up, I'd also like to show you the configuration file one last time. It's called Docker Compose. If you go to your containers and click on the container itself, there's a View Configurations button here. Okay. Now let's open it in the IDE. So in this case, it's this file right here, the one that's in the repository. Here you can see different configurations, like the volumes that are specified. You can just scroll through it and see what variables are here, what services are included, just to get familiar with it. But this Docker Compose file that's in the repository, the one we pulled onto your local computer, is exactly what determines how the services will interact with each other, on which ports. In this case, it's 5, 6, 7, 8. If you need to change it for some reason, you can do it right here. Qdrant, meaning the ports are also specified here, as well as which volume to use. This file is exactly what determines how your images in the container will be launched and how they will interact with each other. Here, most likely, well, not even most likely, but you can actually choose the 3.2 model. See here, Ollama pull 3.2. Ollama 3.2 means the model is installed from Ollama. You can use any model here. If you go to the Ollama website, you can see which models are available here. There are a lot of them, and each has different requirements. You could test and never finish testing them all. So in this case, a simple model is installed, the simplest one, but there are more powerful ones available. It all depends on the graphics card you have on your computer. If you have a powerful graphics card, you can install an older Ollama model, and it will work much better and faster. I hope you enjoyed the video. Just a reminder, we've learned how to run N8 and in services like Qdrant, Ollama, and Postgres locally on your computer. And this is a very basic, yet truly complete setup that effectively lets you do a great deal of interesting things in practice without paying any service fees for valuable resources. Use it, enjoy it, subscribe to the channel, like, and leave comments. Of course, I choose what to film next based on your comments. Join the Telegram channel. We discuss different topics there and help each other out. If you have any questions, I'm happy to share my knowledge and try to bring together people who are also positive and ready to learn and grow together. So, see you in the next video. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the Telegram channel. Bye! Oh, by the way, I almost forgot, there's a course on N8N. Subscribe and follow the link in the description. I'm actually recording the course right now. Take the survey. It will influence the final part of the course. And now I'll see you in the next video.
Shake it like a